If you traveled back in time to 2005 and tell people the future, what would be something that they would not believe? Oil prices will crash and a 4-pack of toilet paper will be worth more than a barrel of crude. This is definitely the oddest one by far. Can't forget that oil storage facilities are rapidly becoming overstocked. And major organizations and countries are bickering about it again. Except this time in complete reverse of what happened before. Marijuana stores are considered an essential business. That even made me pause for a reality check. Bill Cosby is perhaps the world's most notorious serial rapist. Damn, that's a good one. I almost forgot about Cosby. In 2020, banks will not let you inside unless you are wearing a mask. The tables have tabled. The Chinese government hates Winnie the Pooh. This one just made me have an internal crisis of how crazy yet completely understandable in context it is. I got bad news for your Livestrong wristband. There's a mannequin named Starman driving an electric car through space. I'd award you if I could. But it should say riding an electric car through space. No more flip phones or phones with keyboards. All touchscreen now. In 2030. All phones are both flip phones and all touchscreen. Hey. Remember SARS last year? SARS 2 is the rare sequel that surpasses the hell out of the first one. Black president then orange president? To the loony bin with you. Orange is the new black? Bill Cosby is a rapist. Robin Williams and Chester Bennington both committing suicide. I think if you mentioned that before Robin Williams killed himself after he started dying from one of the most physically painful diseases in world that has no treatment, they would understand. Steam is actually gonna be a pretty huge deal. And people will still be playing Counter-Strike Source and Half-Life. Leicester won the Premier League. This is my favorite. Like who would have ever guessed in 2005? That Donald Trump, the guy on The Apprentice, is gonna be the president. I still don't believe it. We are in the grimmest timeline. Apple, Amazon, Microsoft and Google will be the top 4 companies in the world in terms of market cap. Blockbuster went bankrupt because of people watching movies on the internet. CD and DVD are a declining format. Kmart, gone. Sears, gone. Circuit City, gone. CompuServe, gone. Dodge is owned by Fiat. Toys R Us gone. A little kid can make millions of dollars by playing with toys on camera. Correction, a little kid can make millions of dollars for their parents playing with toys on camera. I would tell my parents it's okay if mom smoked or ate some weed to help her with her cancer. My mom refused to smoke when she was sick because she didn't want to set a bad example, but all of us ended up smoking anyways. Lol, miss you mom. That people would choose to not vaccinate. 6 years prior some stupid scientist released something saying vaccines cause autism. She quickly retracted the claims, but the anti-vaxxers still believe it. Pluto ain't gonna be a planet for much longer. That's messed up. Pretty much everything from 2014 onward. I swear. Sometimes I suspect I died in a car crash in May of 2014 and everything past that point is God knows what. Everyone has smartphones. MySpace is dead. The world is in a pandemic. And there was a black president. Double quote. Yo. Cheetah dude 625. Lay off the mushrooms. Double quote. Speaking of cheetahs. We will have an angry cheetah as president. You think I'm lying? Just wait. You'll see. That the only way people won't go insane during a pandemic is by watching the chronicles of a gay redneck with 2 husbands and a whole lot of tigers. People tried to raid Area 51. Did anyone actually show up for that? After I read the first little blurb about it, I kind of ignored it. Tell them all what happened in just the first month of 2020. That should be enough. Me. Okay. So President Trump was looking at getting impeached, so he killed this Iranian general. Them. President Trump? Like Donald Trump? The Apprentice guy? Okay. So I know you're f-king with me. Me. No. I haven't even gotten to the pandemic yet. A pandemic grinds the whole world into a near halt. See. This one I think is believable. How quickly it escalated in the span of a few months. And the degree of the impact it's causing is unprecedented. But not unrealistic. It's like saying, oh, this huge volcano erupted and now we're living in a volcanic winter for some time. Double quote. It's easier to put it in context than some other things that have happened. Like oil. Oh yeah. It's worth -$40 now. Double quote. A new form of currency will exist in 4 years called Bitcoin. By IT. You'll be confused at first. But you'll thank me later. Double quote. People will be so dumb they'll believe anything written online to the point that all you have to do to influence an election is publish a bunch of fake memes infographics. The Cubs actually did win the World Series. But they did it in 2016 instead of 2015. We also have hoverboards. But they are a major letdown. We need to stop calling those pieces of shitty hoverboards. Kids will have telephones from a young age. Also, nobody uses their phone to call people up anymore. Everyone has a phone that is used in every way except as a phone. Double quote. Jan and Mitchell date for a while. Also, Daryl dates Kelly. I could probably find some better ones than that, but I'm too lazy to think. The temp becomes Michael's boss. Same-sex marriage. Just a year before several US states held referenda on banning it. And it passed by wide margins in both red and blue states. The GOP was almost virtually unified in its opposition. And even the Democrats were divided on it. For someone to be told in only a decade SSM would be supported by a majority of the population and the law of the land nationwide would be surprising. Social change almost always takes generations, not years. There won't be flying cars in 2015. Also, the world will just go downhill. It doesn't get better. Kobe died. Damn man. Every time I'm having a good day. In about 3-5 years, you're gonna want to start the letter email writing campaign to get Scrubs cancelled. Do not let it go past season 8. I think you could just make a list of everything that's happened in British and American politics since 2005 and pretty much every item would blow people's minds. The Game of Thrones books still aren't finished. Even worse, that only one book will have come out between 2005 and 2020. America had a black president who served 2 terms. And was very popular. We actually have a cure for Hep C now. Donald Trump is president. And Kanye West is one of his biggest supporters. Marijuana legalization COVID-19 pandemic. Bin Laden is found in Pakistan. And killed by US Navy SEALs. Chicago Cubs won the World Series in 2016. Queen Elizabeth II is still alive. Easy to believe she'll last another 15 years now though. Toilet paper is gold. 1. Donald Trump is president. 2. Amber Heard beat Johnny Depp. 3. America's first black president has come and gone. 4. The Democrats are now the ones who hate Russia. Oil is literally worth less than $0 now. Not only does Jared love Subway, he is also a pedophile. Not only does Jared love Subway, he also loves children. Canada in 2005. No one would believe me, marijuana was legalized. They knew for sure I was lying when I said togs and booze can be delivered to the door. King Tut was removed from his grave and shortly after the entire world started being taken over by respiratory illness. People eating Tide Pods. That was really overhyped by the media. On the other hand, the 40% increase of calls to poison control regarding injecting disinfectants. That we'd be out of toilet paper because of a virus. A virus that doesn't have diarrhea as one of its primary symptoms. In the UK, It would be that we voted to leave the EU in a referendum in 2016 and left the EU in 2020. Also, the fact that UKIP was seen as a party that could potentially win seats in the House of Commons might also surprise some people too. Oh, and that blonde posh guy from Have I Got News for You will be Prime Minister. Smartphones will become essential and pretty much everyone will have them. Hummer will be out of business in 3 years. The bad Star Wars movies are good now. They didn't change. They're just good now. And the new ones are dogshit. Donald Trump is president and has a 50/50 shot at a second term. To be fair, it's more like 60-40. Nobody really wants Joe Biden in there either. The world doesn't end in 2012. It ends in 2020 instead. It's impossible to get a haircut, but medical marijuana dispensaries are considered to be an essential business. Michael Jackson died 4 years later, after gearing up for his gigantic instant sold-out comeback tour. 2005 was also when he got off trial. So imagine how people would react then. Dude, you won't believe what happens to Anakin's grandson. That a whole cinematic universe of all the Marvel characters would happen and almost all the Marvel properties would be owned by Disney. The Marvel properties were split among many different studios. So this would seem far-fetched back then. There are 23 feature films starring Marvel characters, with Iron Man being the jump-off point. X-Men and Fantastic Four are not included. It's super complicated with Spider-Man and Venom. No, not that Spider-Man. Toby is out. There's a second Spider-Man, but not that one either. The third one. Double quote. There will be people known as influencers. They will be the most vapid people you can imagine, with a group of followers that want to be like them. They will try to peddle crap no one wants and convince people they live an outrageous lifestyle, but it will be largely fake. However, some of them will make more money in a year than some people make in 10. That a reality TV star is the president of the USA. That's not so far-fetched. Ronald Reagan was an actor. People in the future will come to fear and despise science in favor of anecdotal evidence. There will be movements created to discredit science as a whole, and they will be popular. And people will believe again that Earth is flat. No. Really. I'm not joking. There will be multiple movies a year based around comic book and sci-fi IPs, and you will be sick of them by 2020. Speak for yourself. The more comic book, sci-fi and fantasy movies, the better. But yeah, that would be a shock to people. We are being praised for getting fat and laying on our couches all day every day. Low-hanging fruit, I guess, but almost 75,000 Americans have died of a worldwide plague while the American president spends his time bragging about his TV ratings and getting into rage-fueled, semi-coherent arguments on the internet. Occasionally with teenagers. Even during the Bush years. That would have been a stretch. Honestly, there's so much tea that's happened in the last 4 or so years that a decade and a half ago would have seemed like the plot to a bad movie. Anything I say they won't believe me. Cause who'd believe a 1-year-old trying to explain to humanity that in 2020 there would be a deadly plague? I don't want to be that person. But if you were to go back in time from 2020, then you would just be the age you are now. In 2005. And there would be just 2 copies of you until you left and came back to 2020. Someone could eat a bat. And that could make you unemployed. It's been long disproven that eating bats had anything to do with it. That George W. Bush has been somewhat redeemed. Nah, he just seems relatively less bad now. Still a bad guy. Not only will Star Wars come back, but it will no longer be relevant at all. Okay. So there is this thing called Pornhub, and you can watch people having sex on it for free on a portable TV that fits in your pocket. The next president will be a black man. The one after that will be orange. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump fight to replace America's first black president. That Trump is president of the USA and Boris Johnson is PM of the UK. Wouldn't tell anybody anything, I just use the opportunity to play the lottery numbers. The internet is now a part of our everyday lives. LGBT+ people are much more widely accepted. Marvel is one of the biggest brands in the world, with a movie about the Guardians of the Galaxy being better remembered and better liked than a movie about Superman. Also, buy stock things called Google, Apple, and Microsoft. You will not regret it. Trust me. Robin Williams. I don't want to finish the sentence, but you all know. Most would probably never even believe he was suffering from depression, let alone an undiagnosed case of Lewy body dementia. Okay, this gorilla got shot and this triggers a butterfly effect for the future years that leads into 2020 having in a span of 3 months Australia burning down and lastly a disease that put the world in lockdown.